The Waterboy?
Oh, I actually haven't seen it.
You haven't seen The Waterboy?
No.
That's a good movie.
This podcast is over.
Yeah. Actually, we'll continue without you.
Yeah, standard. I never provide much value. Anyway.
This podcast is all about The Waterboy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
There's going to be so many references to that movie.
Wow, I can't
So
wait.
you won't be able to keep up.
I can't wait to participate.
So today's all about hydration
Yeah.
and all the factors included in hydration, things like electrolytes we're going to learn about,
Yeah.
the importance of hydration.
Mm-hmm.
And
How-
water, which is also pretty important
Yeah.
in hydration.
I know what
It
water is.
Do you know what water is?
Yeah.
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 H2O.
Pretty easy.
How much
Before
water do you drink when you play basketball?
Heaps. But I mix it with a whole bunch of different stuff. Like I'll have electrolytes.
What's heaps? How much do you consume in a game of basketball?
Including before and after, at least 2 to 3 liters. Much more in summer.
Interesting.
All right, let's talk hydration. Why is hydration important?
Well, hydration's, one of the most important things. When you're dehydrated, it affects so many parts of your performance. Your for example, mental accuracy, your reaction time, your endurance, your strength, your mind-muscle connection. All of this is affected by your hydration.
So it basically has an impact on everything you do, from
Yeah.
reaction time
Speed,
to
power,
mind, everything.
everything.
Right. So what is hydration? Is it commonly always linked to like fluid intake, water, but then it's also paired with electrolytes. So tell us a little bit what electrolytes are.
So, as you know, most of your body is actually made up out of water, right? Something like 60% is made up out of water. Of that 60%, around 2/3 are actually in your cells, and then 1/3 is, kind of between your cells and in the blood. So water is basically, throughout your body, and it's doing all of these functions. When you contract a muscle, it's very important to, be hydrated and have electrolytes in your system, because this is all related to that contractile process.
All right.
So every sport you play, you're going to be contracting some muscle. The next question is, where does this water come from?
That wasn't my next question.
Oh, okay.
No,
but
it wasn't mine
hang
either,
on,
actually,
where does
but
this
nice
water
try.
come from?
All right, so you drink.
Glad you asked.
You drink the water, right?
Yeah.
So you drink maybe like 50% of your water.
Yep.
But you get a lot of it from food as well, which is important consideration for a lot of people.
Do you
All
get any
your
of it?
fruits and veggies and everything.
Do you get any of it from not consuming food or water, food or liquid? Like, is there any other way to not ingest, but to get liquid into your body?
intravenously?
Yeah,
that
I guess you could
naturally.
I guess there's different baths and things you might be able to do to hydrate.
But in general,
typically
no,
it's
You can breathe it. What do you think? You're going to
Yeah.
breathe it in, or what?
I don't know. You might when it rains.
Is this another
Absorb it through your
NBA
skin.
player can be a marathon runner discussion?
when it
Sure.
rains. Sure.
when,
Okay.
it rains, it pours.
When it rains, stick your tongue out.
All right, so you have to ingest it basically.
Yes.
Yep.
And yeah. What
So
you
so how much? Let's just talk water. How much fluid should people be drinking on a daily basis? Just sedentary, normal people.
well, we're talking about sports here, right? But they say a sedentary normal person should drink about 2 liters of water a day, right? Everybody kind of uses that number.
Is that it?
But that's just a random number. It's kind of like the 10,000 steps. It's
That's not a lot as well.
No, I think it depends on the activity level, how much you sweat,
It's-
whether the things that impact it are like whether you play outdoors. It
Yeah.
might be super windy and hot that day.
How
or-
much do you guys sweat?
I sweat a lot.
I sweat
A
I'm a
lot.
sweater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sweat when I eat anything too acidic or
Yeah,
spicy.
yeah, same.
I literally just start pouring it.
But
And I love spicy food.
Like I sweat a lot too, right? Jiu-jitsu. And I always ask other people that sweat a lot, like, how much fluid do you take in? And every one of them that's a heavy sweater says, I drink so much throughout
Okay.
the day. So I reckon like sweating is actually tied to people that are properly hydrated.
Of
Well,
course,
that's-
but do you think it's a result, or do you think it's
I think it's probably
Well-
a genetic thing as well, but
And
but you
it's also you can train yourself. The more you're exposed to hot and cold and things, you can actually train your sweating rate.
But do you think someone who naturally sweats more as a result of that has just a greater level of thirst and therefore drinks more water as a result? Or do you think someone who just naturally drinks more water is more likely to sweat as a result? Like, which one do you reckon comes first?
The chicken, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Well, the thing is, it's highly individual, right? Like, it doesn't just matter that you have 2.5 million sweat glands, right? It depends on your activity, depends on the environment, and depends on how sweat adapted you are, and your genetics as well. And so there's no one size fits all. So whoever recommended 2 liters is wrong when it comes to sports, because not all sports are equal, right? The length of the sport is going to affect this.
Intensity.
If it's hot, if it's cold, if the sun is shining on your head.
Yeah, you've seen Darren sweat towel he has to bring to work.
I get pretty shiny.
From the top of his head.
But when you're sweating, an important thing is you're not just losing water, you're losing sweat, right? So when you're replenishing this, you're not just shouldn't be focused on replenishing water. Should be focused on replenishing sweat, and sweat contains these things called
electrolytes.
Bingo.
What if you're not a heavy sweater? Do you still need like a lot of electrolytes?
I don't know about a lot of electrolytes, but we've got a strategy, a recommendation here that we can give people. They can do a little bit of assessment on themselves, and then replenish accordingly.
All right. What are electrolytes then?
All right. Electrolytes. There's typically 5 electrolytes that you should worry about when it comes to what's in your body. So
calcium.
Okay, we'll start in order of how abundant they are, right?
Calcium.
So sodium, chloride, right? Potassium, calcium, and magnesium. Right, those are probably the 5 key.
In that order, how abundant they are in the body or in nature and consumption?
So it's a complicated relationship between like the location of water in your body. Like we talked about, what's in your cells, what's in your blood, what's in your
so electrolytes in different ratios in different parts of your body.
That's right. There's different concentrations at different amounts. And
so calcium in the bones, potassium in the muscle?
That's not what we're talking about when we're talking about electrolytes. Calcium in your bones is...
Whatever.
It's calcium, but what we're specifically talking about, these right? So they're charged particles. They have a positive or negative charge, right?
You can't just let me be right once.
No.
Because you're not right.
Yeah. So basically, just under your skin, you have little sweat glands all throughout your body, right? Your hips and your feet and your armpits, right? That's why they stink.
Speak for yourself.
Well, they do. So basically, you're sweating to cool your body down, right? And you don't actually cool your body down by sweating. You cool your body down by the sweat evaporating off your skin. That has a cooling effect.
Is that the sole purpose of sweat for your body? Is literally just a temperature
That's
control?
the main purpose, yeah.
I know it's the main purpose, but does it play any other role naturally?
Well, I think electrolyte balance is part of it as well, right?
So to bring down the level of electrolytes in your body and in your system?
I don't know to necessarily bring down, but it depends on the concentration in your...
I don't think you're sweating to get rid of anything. You're sweating to cool yourself down. That's it.
And you just happen to lose electrolytes in that process.
Yeah, you're losing minerals that are contained within that sweat.
Yeah.
So you need to replenish the minerals along with the water.
Yeah.
So why are electrolytes important? Like, what sort of functions do they have in the body?
So electrolytes have a lot of functions in the body, right? So, like I said, they're very much involved in muscle contraction. So probably the main function you need to worry about when it comes to exercise. But basically, they have a lot of functions when it comes to transporting nutrients, and they're involved in all kinds of reactions in your body, enzymes, and
but speaking about contraction, that's why you'll hear that someone who is dehydrated or low in electrolytes may be more likely to cramp. That's a result of poor contraction, isn't it?
Actually, cramping has something to do with your brain. It's like a neuromuscular thing. But yeah,
really,
anecdotally, people say when you're dehydrated, you cramp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so you sweat out. It's 99% water, 1%. These little electrolytes. So what you can do to hydrate properly is to replenish what you sweat out, right? And like we said, there's so many different variables. Everybody sweats at different rates, all of this kind of stuff. So an easy way to track it is to do some self-experimentation. So weigh yourself before and weigh yourself after and just see how much weight you've lost.
During like a session or something?
During a session.
Done that.
And then...
and that's roughly how much fluid you should be consuming during that session or before and after? Or
so you should aim to basically replenish that amount during and, afterwards aim to replenish about 150% of what you've lost in total.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when it comes to electrolyte supplements, and I see a lot of people these days are just using, like Himalayan salt and all those sorts of things, but you need more than just sodium or salt.
So remember, it's there's also diminishing returns. You can be hypohydrated, which is basically what they call dehydrated, or you can be hyperhydrated, which also has negative effects, which is too much water, which can result in something called hyponatremia, which is
it's like an electrolyte imbalance.
Too low concentration of sodium in your body. So you really want to be at the sweet spot. So you don't necessarily want to have too much stuff, right? And you definitely don't want to be dehydrated for the reasons that we've talked about. So
those 5 key electrolytes that you named, do they have is there a significant difference in the role that each of they play?
They have many, many roles in your body. Like, we could narrow it down to a few things, but just in the context of sport, think about, muscle contraction, also involved in your brain, like we talked about, all those symptoms of dehydration are related to electrolytes and water, right? So they're very important.
How would you know if you're dehydrated or you've got an electrolyte imbalance? Like, is there some signs showing up? Are you getting headaches? Are you, like Hal said, are you cramping? Are you dizzy or
orange pee?
Yeah,
orange pee.
Well, like you said, you can test and assess, but if you're thirsty, generally you need to drink stuff. So a lot of people.
So your body lets you know.
Your body does let you know. So. If you start sweating, your dog might come and lick your sweat because, even animals are kind of trained to, be attracted to salty things, right? They psychologically want to lick things.
Look, I can see Hal's mind just working all the time. Whatever you're thinking, don't fucking say it.
Yeah.
I've never had a dog come and, lick my sweat before.
Yeah.
But you can get like irregular heartbeat, muscle spasms. You could get like twitching muscles could be a sign of low magnesium, or there's a whole heap of raft of different signs.
I've had pretty awful calf cramps when I know I'm dehydrated.
Yeah.
Pretty unpleasant.
Yeah, there definitely could be a cause there. So, but back to solution mode now. So there's basically 3 things you need to focus on. Number 1 is stay hydrated throughout the day. Right? You don't want to just be cramming in water when you're training. So start hydrated, right? And
that's the worst thing you could do. There's nothing worse than training or going into sport feeling like you've just crammed a whole heap of fluid into you.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just all sitting,
just sloshing around in your stomach.
It's the worst. So you actually want to
feel heavy.
You need a hydration solution well before you're playing sport or 100%. Training.
Yeah. So that basically a good way to do that throughout the day is to, listen to your thirst. If you're thirsty, drink some water, right? And then the next thing is to maintain this level during training. So.
So you're constantly sort of sipping throughout the training or the game or whatever it is.
Yes.
I definitely ramp up like my liquid and my electrolyte consumption around that time of training. Not just from beginning to end, but like an hour before and an hour after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty common.
Yeah. So you basically, like we said, you want to drink sweat, which is a lot of sodium, a lot of chloride.
Can you rephrase that?
Well,
drink sweat.
Drink the equivalent of sweat, right? So
drink what you lose in sweat.
Can you get electrolyte? Well, obviously, you can get all of those sort of minerals from other foods, but like someone that's not using electrolyte or a hydration supplement, can you get it from foods? Like, what are the best foods to get it from?
Fruits are pretty good when it comes to hydrating, but
banana.
Yeah, different foods have different amounts of electrolytes in them.
So you'd have to use like a combination of different foods to get those different, like bananas are high in potassium, but I don't know how much of the other electrolytes they have.
That's right. But also, processed food is very high in sodium typically.
Yeah.
And it's actually very low in water because, bacteria can grow in water. So processed food is typically, quite dry and stuff, right? So anything you get in a packet is pretty dry and pretty salty. But the problem with processed food is it can actually cause you to be dehydrated, right? Because it's not just about getting in the electrolytes. You want to get the water that accompanies the electrolytes because you want to replenish
and
what you're losing.
And the right balance of electrolytes
That's
too,
right? So people that eat a lot of processed food in their diet
getting heaps of sodium
and tend to have pretty poor hydration status because they're not drinking that much water to compensate that. And people that are sedentary and people that have conditions, getting too much sodium is going to not be very beneficial for them. In fact, it can be quite dangerous.
So the other side of it is there's supplements, obviously electrolyte supplements that are already in the sort of correct ratios of electrolytes that you can consume.
That's right. Just
add water, obviously. We've got a couple of different products here. Again, we're not trying to plug products, but more to learn.
Yes, we are.
So we've got electrolytes, which is just sort of pure flavored electrolytes. No sugar, no carbs, nothing else. Just straight electrolytes.
So just quickly on that, I asked you this the other day, Duran, but just to reiterate, is there a ceiling on the amount of electrolytes you can consume as an athlete? Like I know we've spoken about creatine, there's not much point in having more than 5 grams a day.
Yeah, there's a ceiling, like I just said, right? You don't want to be too hydrated, holding too much water, hyperhydration.
What if you're still consuming the same amount of water, but you're upping your electrolytes? Like, is there too much electrolytes that you can consume?
Again, people sweat out different amounts of
so it's depending on the individual.
So it's individual, right? And
yeah,
you can get very advanced analysis on this. You can literally go buy something that measures the concentration of electrolytes in your sweat, like a hydration analyzer.
But just ballpark, how many do you reckon the ceiling of a serve of electrolytes, whether it be ours or another one? What's the most that you'd probably want to have, say, each day that you're exercising?
It depends, but like say for you, right? So you play basketball. You're probably sweating out 2-3 liters by the sounds of it. So
a couple of serves a day.
Yeah.
One serve just sip on throughout the day, and then one serve around training or game 100%. Time. I reckon that's enough. Yeah.
I'd have one before and one after, maybe another one if I'm a bit hungover. But
what's the difference between this, which is a concentrated electrolyte solution, and a sports drink where you're getting electrolytes like those other brands?
Typically, sports drinks have a lot of sugar in them, and that has a energy benefit we talked about on our carbohydrates episode. But carbs are also related to electrolytes when it comes to hydrating, because if your muscle glycogen is depleted, that causes issues. So a lot of people try and look for like a specific ratio of carbs to electrolytes, especially if you're an endurance athlete. You're gonna need that.
Yeah. So that's this product, right? Which is our sport hydration. That's a combination of electrolytes, a few other ingredients, creatine, B vitamins, but also a low sugar carbohydrate, sus carb, which we talked about on the last episode, right?
Yep.
So this is more of a all-in-one hydration and energy formula, whereas
That's
this is sort of just straight hydration.
Yep, not a lot of carbs in that one, but we've done that to suit people's lifestyles. Some people just might be focused on the water and the electrolytes and not necessarily worried about the carbs.
Yep, that makes sense.
Always depends.
Yeah.
So how else can you monitor your hydration levels? Like, is there like this? Simplest methods, you've got like water bottles these days that have how many liters you've drank throughout the day, so it enables people to keep track.
Well, there's the old urine test, if your urine looks
What's urine?
Can you try it again?
Go again.
Urine.
Urine?
Urine?
Urine what?
Oh, urine. Urine.
Urine.
Oh god.
Okay, I don't even know what's right anymore, to be honest. But
So, well, that's the way everyone, like, that's the, I don't know if it's bro science or a myth or whatever. If your urine's too yellow, it's a sign that you might be dehydrated, but it also might be a sign that you've consumed a whole heap of vitamins or B vitamins or something that day. So you generally know when you're getting dehydrated, though. I do. You start to get flat. Your energy levels sort of just drop. You might start to get like some light headaches. Like, and by that time you're well and truly dehydrated.
Yeah. So we talked about urine. Then there's, we talked about weight and we talked about thirst. So there's an abbreviation that people like. It's called WUT. W-U-T. W-U-T.
That's an acronym.
What?
Weight.
What?
Urine and thirst.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if you
What?
Well, you notice when if you weigh yourself in the morning, straight when you've got out of bed, and then again at night, there could be a multiple, like 2, 3, 4 kilogram difference
100%.
based on your hydration levels. It's not, you're not putting on fat throughout the day.
Yeah.
You're
And
basically just,
yeah. And if you've ever done a weight class dependent sport, the reason why these boxers and UFC fighters and powerlifters kind of manipulate their weight is, not losing the fat. It's just manipulating their water and hydration levels, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's another big topic we don't really want to get into, but we're just
We've spoken about that previously.
yeah.
It's interesting.
It's interesting, but remember, all the negative effects of being dehydrated, you don't want to do that when you're trying to perform at your best. So
No.
it's a fine line, isn't it, when you're in like a weight determined sport. You still want to be able to perform.
But surely, like, the reasoning there is it's so much easier and quicker to lose and then regain that weight and hydration rather than actually changing.
Well, it actually takes
part of your body.
It's actually
it actually takes pretty long to properly rehydrate. Like a UFC fighter basically weighs in and has 24 hours to rehydrate. All the science says that to actually properly rehydrate, it can take 2 to 3 days to get back to proper hydration. These guys are trying to. They used to allow IV rehydration, so they would get intravenous bag, but they stopped that because it also masked performance-enhancing drugs.
Ah, really?
So now they have to rehydrate orally,
Yeah.
which is a much slower process. You can't just rehydrate overnight.
I kind of thought you could, to be honest. I'd hate to have to do that, though. I'd hate to have to cut that water weight. That sounds exhausting.
Especially when you're going to fight the next day and you're
painful.
getting hit in the head where there's a lot of fluid protecting the brain. And
But then, the advantage is that you're a bigger person in a smaller division, and there's, always an advantage there. And that's pretty much why every single person does it. Because, if you're to just walk in and try and fight somebody that's at their walking around weight, they're going to be a lot smaller than you. Yeah.
True.
when it comes to hydration electrolyte, I always use a powdered supplement. I'm not a huge sports drink guy. Normally they don't contain all the electrolytes. Like you look at, I'm going to dump Gatorade in it here. They've got a couple of electrolytes in their product. Usually,
well, some of those zero sugar ones just literally have sodium and
not enough,
100%,
not anywhere
even,
enough.
Yeah.
Whether they're sugar or no sugar, I consider them to be a sports drink. If you want actually electrolytes, you have to go to a powder.
I think so to get the right concentration and ratios.
Yeah, and we've seen recently there's some even saltier electrolyte drinks come out. Like in America, they have LMNT, for example, and those have like 1,000 milligrams of sodium per serve, which is pretty salty if you ever drink it.
Yeah.
Are you aware of like what the ideal ratio is between those four major electrolytes?
The main thing you need to worry about is sodium to potassium, which would be around 4:1.
Really?
Yeah.
4:1 sodium.
Yes.
Yeah, wow.
You need the most sodium, like we said, in order. Sodium, chloride. And if you combine sodium and chloride together,
What do you get, Hal?
Meth.
No, you get sodium chloride.
Oh.
which is also known as salt, right? Right? Table salt.
I coulda guessed
is
that
sodium
one.
chloride, right?
Yeah. So you could just be sprinkling sea salt on bananas and you sorted.
Yeah, actually, that's probably not a bad idea.
That's the food option.
Yeah.
Sounds like an
Or
awful
you could
idea
just have
taste-wise.
banana and peanut butter. But
Or just electrolytes.
yeah.
Much easier, much cheaper per serve.
I do love banana and peanut butter though.
Yeah.
And then, calcium and magnesium
Wow.
is, a much lower part of a smaller part of your sweat.
Is the calcium that exists in milk the same as the electrolyte calcium?
Yeah, milk is actually a really good rehydrating.
Coconut water.
Yeah, coconut water is pretty high in potassium, not
Yeah.
that high in sodium, which is strange. So
It'll taste so
it's
good.
not optimal for sports performance, but yeah,
Mm.
interesting.
Nice. What does my motor have to say about electrolytes?
Well, in the Book of 5 Rings.
Each ring is a different electrolyte.
Well, one book is the Book of Water, so I'm sure he has a lot.
Wow, go straight to the Book of Water.
Yeah.
His opening statement.
He doesn't have it.
He lived by a freshwater river. Did you know that? Yeah, deep in the woods. And every day, every morning, he would take his Musashi electrolyte powder down there, and he would, quick, Darren,
All right.
save me.
Okay, making yourself bigger than you are. This is a strong warrior attitude. Extend your spirit above and beyond the enemy's body and spirit.
Now, one that relates to hydration.
No, that is considering we just
Yeah.
talk about cutting and making weight.
Making yourself
Probably-
bigger than you are.
That
you know?
is like
What,
probably-
through excessive water intake?
That's actually the most relevant thing you've come up with recently.
Well, you say that every week.
No, I normally say you're completely off the mark. Actually.
Yeah. Page 23, the Book of
The
Water.
Book of Water.
You guys talk amongst
Yeah,
yourselves.
be water, my friend. You know that quote?
Be water.
No.
What does that mean?
That's Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee. That means move like water, but doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, how do you find these so quickly, Darren? There's a lot of...
That's why they're so shit. He just picks the first thing you can find.
I don't find the quotes. The quotes find me.
Oh, you're obviously better at it than me.
Oh, you do my
I've
head in
just
sometimes.
I've just opened this up and it's talking about holding the long sword. I've heard you talk about that a few times in the office, but good one. We'll leave it at Darren's, and that'll do for hydration.
Oh
Stay
my God.
hydrated, folks.
Yeah.
Alcohol's terrible for hydration too, Hal.
It's very, very bad.
Yeah, but
It actually dehydrates you.
really,
Yeah.
I had no idea.
What about quick one? Caffeine.
Oh, yeah. Caffeine is a double-edged sword, right? Because when you drink caffeine, typically you're drinking a decent amount of water.
Yeah.
And even though it's a diuretic, it makes you go to the toilet. Typically, on net balance, it's actually hydrating if you have enough water with it.
So you're having water with it, so it offsets the
Yeah.
dehydrating
So obviously
effects
not a
of
dry
caffeine.
scoop or a black coffee, but if you're having an energy drink
Yeah.
or
If you're like Hal and you're eating coffee beans, it's probably not the best idea.
snorting.
Yeah.
And is there any ways or ingredients to be hyperhydrated? Glycerol
Yes.
is one too. Right?
Glycerol is a tool used by a lot of athletes out there to get hyperhydrated, which, we talked about might not be beneficial for most sports, but
Marathon running.
gives you a nice pump.
All your NBA players that are going to turn into marathon runners, that'd be good for
100%.
them.
All the Pelicans out there.
That's right.
All right, we'll finish on that.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us again.
Next time.
Musashi out.
Musashi out.